You know, I think about us, the three of us, what we could be. I think about it all the time.
Please. It's terrible.
No, it's not. I know June. She's my friend. I care about her. How's your day going? You look pretty.
Thanks. I wore it just for you. Her father's a driver named Nick. He helped me to survive. Yes, you can, because I can't lose you.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
What about you?
Your girlfriend is a badass.
Welcome to Above the Garage, a Nick and June, the Handmaid's Tale podcast. Hi, friends. Welcome to the spoiler-free analysis of Season 1, Episode 8, which is entitled Jezebels. Let's do our round of introductions.
Hi, I'm Wanda.
Hi, I'm Scarlett.
Hi, I'm Megan.
Hi, I'm Violet.
Hi, I'm Tina.
And I'm Kate. So obviously we all love this episode. Episode 8 starts out with June waking up in Nick's bed. The morning
Which is my moment. That's my moment.
That is your moment. You want to talk about it, Wanda?
That's just the moment I fell in love with Nick and June.
It's such a good moment. So the morning light is coming through the shutters also. So that's kind of stunning that they've pulled an all-nighter. And Rita has to be awake at this point, making her bread from scratch or whatever. I'm curious how that works out. But
There was actually a line in the script, I think, that was cut about Rita was going to be waking up soon or would be awake, and that's why she had to leave.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah.
They addressed it.
Mm-hmm.
That seems so risky. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, get out of there, go back now. Like I don't want her to, but then I also don't want them to get caught. So I'm like, everybody's going to see you. It's the middle of the day.
Yeah, no, it is.
I always wonder where the other guardians are. I'm like,
Yeah.
They go home at a certain time. So they go home, I think, at 11. That's what I read in the book.
And then, but what is their purpose in that they could even not have coverage? I don't know.
You'd think they would want coverage at night. That's when prowlers prowl, you know?
Yeah.
And people sneak.
Yeah. It's all right. It made our favorite relationship happen. So I'm on board. But yes, I have these questions too, but I don't need answers. Let's just let them be together. And she's saying, I want to know him, memorize him so I can live on the image later.
I have the
It's
transcript if you
important.
want me to read it.
Yeah, it's important. Read it.
I like her inner monologue. I think Ginger said it before that she liked this episode because in the last one, she finds out that Luke is alive. In this one, she starts off with being with Nick, and she has this voiceover where she actually says, Luke is alive. I stretch out my arms to him, but he slips away like a ghost at daybreak. And I am left here. I wish this story were different. I wish it showed me in a better light. In a different story, maybe I wouldn't be such a fucking weakling. So I've gone back to Nick time and after time on my own. I want to know him, memorize him, so I can live on the image later. I should have done that with Luke because he's fading. Day by day and night by night, he recedes, and I become more faithless. I could say these are acts of rebellion, a fuck you to the patriarchy, but those are excuses. I'm here because it feels good and because I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
I love that. And then she starts looking around his room and she's playing with his dog tags when he wakes up. And I absolutely love that part too, because he says June and she looks so guilty. And
she's so shy and cute when she turns around. It's so cute.
And the smile on his face is so adorable.
Oh my God, that smile.
I know. He's not
so sweet.
Yeah. He's not bothered at all.
He's not bothered at all. No.
Yeah.
I like her going and snooping around right after she says she wants to get to know him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She means it. I want to know him. I'm going to look at his dog tags. I'm going to snoop.
Yeah. And then, so he looks she looks so guilty and he looks adorable. He doesn't care at all. And then he pulls her back into bed. And I love that scene. So much happens in the next 10 seconds that is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
He's memorizing her, she's just said. And also I think he slips in a kiss that maybe, I don't know if Lizzie knew about that or not, because she suddenly has this huge smile that disappears quickly. And then as she's getting up again, he's kneading her arm and playing twisties with her hand. He's just so tactile.
Twisties.
I don't know how else to say it. What would you say?
No, I love that.
Is there a word?
I don't know. Let's go with twisties. I like that.
Yeah. And then they immediately get really sad. But the whole I don't know how many seconds that is of cuteness beforehand. I love.
Yeah, I love how it's pretty much like, I mean, you already said it, but pretty much how, like when Nick says her name and smiles at her, it's like just this like adorable little like domestic moment where you're like, this is what they would be like if Gilead didn't exist. This is like how a normal relationship would be, right? And then within 10 seconds, it's like your heart is like full and then it's breaking and you're just like crushed, just like
That's
crushes
always
your soul.
That's always the case with them. They get a moment of respite and then they're hit with the fact that they're still in Gilead. That's always
back to reality.
They knew it so well in like such a short time. And this scene I feel like is the most.
I agree. The number of emotions. Like the number of emotions that pass through their faces in that small span of time. Tells you a lot. All right, so we get sad now. She's getting dressed again, and he flashes back to remembering how he got to this place in Gilead.
Very important.
Yeah, and it's the only time we see him out of black, I think.
Yes.
I much prefer him in the black. His shirt and tie combo is something in this scene.
You know what I like to imagine though? I like to imagine like, clearly he didn't have much money. Like he wanted to dress nice. So he's like, I got to put on a tie. And it doesn't matter if the tie doesn't match.
But
don't
make me sad.
You know what I'm saying? But like, I've got to wear a tie. So like he was trying his best. I know, but that's kind of why I imagine it's so mismatched, is he was just kind of trying to look nice. And so he just threw on a bunch of nice clothes. Anyway,
I think they also just did a really good job with like, I mean, the makeup, and I don't even know if he has makeup, he might not, but just the whole way that they like made him look younger, like you can just tell. I mean, it's partly the clothes, I guess, the wardrobe, but you can tell very clearly that he's younger in that scene.
Max is so good at acting differently too. Like you can tell this Nick hasn't
he's a
been
little
holding
bit more,
it all in.
He's more
says
of a
more
hothead,
words,
more emotional.
That's true too. Yeah, he says more and he reacts more to things. He's not as like masked, obviously.
He's not broken yet.
Yeah,
everybody breaks.
So we find out he's had trouble keeping a job, and the guy behind him is causing, he's calling him a loser and such, and he ends up like pushing that guy and accidentally, I think, punching Price out of, and he didn't mean to punch Price, but he wanted to react. He was reacting strongly.
But can we just talk about Price for a minute with regard to that? And
talk about Price.
What he's talking to Nick about is I think he's already seducing or has seduced Nick in a way, because he's called in a favor for him to get a job. Remember he said, I called in a favor for you.
Yes.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Right.
That's very important.
Imply they've seen each other for several months.
Yeah.
He's been going to the career center. And
he's aware of Nick's situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it looks like it's a pretty busy place. So that's the sign of the times there. I mean, it looks like everybody was kind of struggling. And it was obviously the start of the economic downturn. And he's a young guy. I can't imagine people in that age group being able to get much work, especially if he's not old enough to have completed college. Or I feel really bad for those young men in the, like, I would say like 17 to like 22-year range there. I mean, before they could, there's nothing for them. Really.
Right. And one that's supporting his family is just like worse.
Desperate times.
Something I think is interesting is, did you guys notice the name of the place was Worthy Path Career Counseling? And the symbol is a hand with a candle on it. And it to me, it kind of looked like an eye. I don't know, maybe that's just me.
No, totally. I didn't think about that at all, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. It has a religious vibe to it. Like, like Worthy Path, they use religion and stuff.
Loaded language.
In typical Gilead, they have, leading up to Gilead, but there's sirens in the background in most of these scenes where bad things are happening.
When Price was talking to him, he kind of dismissed them. Like, there's nothing I can do for you anymore. Like, he was kind of drier. And I think he saw something when Nick reacted and punched the guy, that's what like kind of told him, I need to get this guy. Like, for some reason, it gave me that impression, because he was very dismissive to him, even though we do know that they had been talking for a while and he was aware, like Tina said, of his situation.
I just think he's been watching Nick the whole time, and sort of, because that's what they do, what recruiters into cults do. They target a person and then they start out the seduction process. So I think they were sort of watching Nick, and Price put himself in that position for the very purpose of recruiting these people who are down on their luck.
Yeah.
you know.
And I'm sure, like you said, the aggression or whatever, like this, the way that he turned on that guy, like shows that it shows the desperation, like even more, like that he's just so frustrated with everything and like ready to take risks and do whatever. So yeah,
he knocked him out with one punch. The guy was bigger.
Yeah,
so
right. That
he
too.
just got
Like,
up.
he's
You know,
strong, a strong guy. Yeah.
so yeah, I think all that had something to do.
So Price offers to buy him a cup of coffee, and in the coffee shop, we learn that his dad has lost his job at the steelworks, and his brother Joshua scammed the government into disability and started drinking all the time. And then he said he just gave up. And
wasn't Nick working at the steel mill too? All three of them?
It sounded to me like all three of them were, and then I assume his dad
took a quarter pension.
Got a pension because he'd probably been working there, I imagine, his whole life. And the boys didn't.
Okay. So we learn here that, you know, at this point when he's talking to Price, it sounds like Josh is still alive right now because he says he takes his coffee with the Jim Beam.
Jim Beam. Yeah.
And Nick is struggling to care for him and his dad and hold down jobs at the same time while he's trying to like keep track of Josh, who disappears for weeks at a time. And so, you know, it gives us more of a background as to why he's had trouble holding down jobs and keeps trying so hard to get them. And then Price misquotes the Bible. I love that. He says, idle hands are the devil's workshop, as the good book says. I love when Nick calls him out. And he's like, you know, that's not actually the Bible, right?
That's great.
And Price,
I feel like he was testing him there. Like he was testing his knowledge there.
Yeah, Price
that's what it felt like. He was looking at him, waiting to see if he could catch it, and then he went for his in with the.
Right. No, that's how I felt too. And anyway, I'm proud of Nick, but then you wonder, well, how does Nick know the Bible so well? I wish we got more of his backstory.
Also, Price was talking about how hard it was making it in a society that only cares about profit and pleasure. So I just wanted to point those things out, that another seduction thing, that's what they do with cults.
Yeah, these are all seeds he's planting, sure.
He also says, no wonder God has turned his back on us, showing that this is God's punishment. The state that we're in right now is a form of God's punishment.
Yeah. And then we are going to clean up this country when he brings up the sons of Jacob. You know, I've got a plan. We're going to clean up this country, you know, makes it sound like they're good, which is another thing. You know, Wanda, you've been talking about cults, is they deliberately withhold information and hide their intent. So when, you know, you're approaching a new recruit, you're not going to say, well, our plan is to turn women into concubines.
Right.
And, you know, violently take over the country. You know, he's going to gauge his interest by saying, oh no, we're gonna clean up the country, you know, we want to help. You know, there's no way Nick would have gone into it if he had led with what it would eventually become.
Right.
That's by design.
That's propaganda. Yeah, that's propaganda. That's what they do. They tell you what you want to hear, and even though the indirect things of what they want to do is there, people don't listen to that. People listen to, they're desperate, so they're going to listen to what they need and try to get what they need. That's how he hooks them as well. He says, you know, maybe there's a job in there for you. Yeah. And that's when he kind of switches he was kind of like skeptical when he was listening to him at first. But when he says that, you see that, you know, Max does that really good. He changes his, like, you can, okay, maybe.
You can see it really well on his face. He's like, oh, well, it sounds a little funny, but I need a job. You're telling me I could have a job.
Right.
A job that would work with me so I can take care of my family. I'm surprised he wasn't like, well, do you have benefits? Like, can I get dental? Like, does your cult have dental?
At this point, he probably doesn't even care. He's just wanting to keep the lights on and help his family. Desperate.
Price is offering to solve a problem. And that's another thing that hooks them and gets them in, is that they offer a solution to their problem.
There were a few notes in the script that I think are interesting in this scene that I think really show Price's intent. So there was a mention in the script that Price was taking advantage of him. And the quote in the script was that he was targeting Nick's loyalty to his family. And by doing that, he zeroed in on Nick's Achilles heel. So he knew that would be a way to hook him. And there was another note that said Price knew he was giving Nick a lifeline with his offer. So that really affirmed, you know, how desperate he was to get a job and to, you know, help out his family. To me, if you're offering someone a lifeline, you know they're going to take it, regardless of if it's a cult, which it was. So
yeah, I thought it was interesting too, like when Price was talking about, you know, the state of the world basically, and Nick says, there's nothing you can do about it. And it just like it's basically what Nick's been struggling with even all throughout season 1. So, you know, he's talking to Price thinking that maybe this is going to solve that. And instead he's still stuck in the exact same patterns of there's nothing you can do about it. I'm in this world where I feel helpless and it's terrible. And it's just sad for Nick. He's probably felt like that for almost all of his life.
Yep.
I just want to talk about Nick's age also. I think from our calculations, he can't be older than like 19, right?
Yeah, 18 or 19.
I'd say 18 to 21 tops.
Yeah,
that's what I think so too.
I feel like when he's discussed sometimes online, it's not taken into consideration that he is so young.
It's not taken into consideration that he was a target because he was some bum. I mean, when these people target people, they're not looking for the lowest of the low. They're looking for the best of the best. And
right, they want the people with the most potential.
And most people who are targeted, they're just in a position where they're desperate.
Yeah.
And that's where Nick was.
I also feel like just Nick being like that age, it kind of hits you even harder just how cynical and exhausted he seems. Do you know what I mean? Like he's like 19 or whatever, and he's already just like so overwhelmed by life, like just all the things that he's had to deal with. And you can just see it on his face in that scene.
And where is his mom, you know?
That's what I want to know.
The only thing people see is that, well, he joined the terrorist group that took away women's rights. That's the only thing people see. People don't analyze why did he get there and why throughout 4 seasons we haven't seen him believe in what he signed up for. So at some point that we don't know, he realized that he made a mistake, and we see that he carries that guilt throughout the 4 seasons. So people, you talk to people about recruiting and baiting, the sense of Jacob didn't walk around with brochures saying like, we're going to rape women every month. That's not what was said. 2016 America is a perfect example of how propaganda works and how people simply said, well, that's locker room talk. That's how he talks. He's going to change the economy. And, you know, we all saw what happened from 2016 to 2020.
Initially, when Price is talking, we're going to clean up this place. We're going to help bring back the economy. It's all really positive. I don't even think at this point Price even knows about they don't even know about the Handmaid system yet. It hasn't even been developed at that time. So he might not even know that yet. Yeah. You know, he doesn't know. So he's basically like, we're just have this group that's full of people who want to, you know, right all the wrongs in this country and get the economy back and get back to good old fashioned values. And he's probably like, okay, well, because my life sucks right now.
Right.
That sounds nice. Yeah. Like, I need a job.
The entire scene, everything Price says to him, if you didn't know where it was going, it's not bad in itself. No. Like, it doesn't sound bad by itself. You could watch that scene in a different context and be like, oh, this guy's trying to help, like without knowing where it goes. So exactly.
Totally. He came for help. And why would he even question that he wasn't helping? He was going to him for several months to get his help. And then now he's offering another lifeline. Why wouldn't he take this one as well? You know, and he was at the Old Navy last month, you know, okay, I'll be your driver next month. Why wouldn't he just keep doing what he's always been doing? Right. He trusts this guy.
And you're going to work with me when I need to take off all like real quickly to go take care of my brother. You're going to work with me.
Right.
Because we have family values. We care about you getting to take care of your family, son. Yes, you can leave and go take care of your brother if you need to. And we won't hold that against you.
Yep.
That's enormous. That is all he needed to hear right there. Price specifically says to him, you're not alone, son. And like, imagine how alone Nick has felt.
That's another thing to get people in.
He knows everything to say that Nick wants to hear, you know?
Yeah.
My last note in that scene too is the sign in the background, wanted good woman. I like that. He got one. Yeah. So then we flash back to current time and Fred is in her room in June's room waiting for her. And she walks in and he says, hi, how's my fair little one this evening? Up for some excitement. I mean, literally, I wrote vomit in my notes after how's my fair little one this evening. So what does that mean?
I don't know. Every word of it is bad.
Say that in a...
this is bad. Everything's bad. It's all bad. Yeah.
It's all bad.
But Fred is up for some excitement. Thought we could do something different tonight. And it's funny when June says Monopoly. And then he says, first that they need to take care of her legs and move into the bathroom to start shaving her legs. More vomit. This is the
so gross.
First of all, Joe Fiennes is amazing at playing such a creepy person.
Yeah, one of my notes is the thing, it's so voyeuristic and creepy, and I know that's the point, and it works so well. Like the whole scene is just
so
the creepy vibe is that's what they were going for, and nailed it.
Yeah. There are also just like so many points during this where he says something, it doesn't give the full information. I mean, it's just through this whole episode where he tells her something like, we're going to take care of your legs. Okay, what the hell does that mean? She had a second there where she probably was like, what's the plan here? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I keep thinking, like while I was watching it this last time, I kept thinking that like every 30 seconds that he was saying some creepy thing that she was probably like spiraling in her mind about what does this mean? Like, what is happening?
And she never knows what's happening. He never tells her what's about to happen as they continue through this evening of, and that's fucked up too.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That's abusive, like
he's
how terrifying in that place to be like, okay, we're going on this adventure where you're wearing hardly anything, which is completely against the rules and you'll get killed for. And we're going to get in the car and we're going to go through checkpoint. Like it's just every single step of it, like you said, is terrifying for her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's acting like this is some fun, evening out, a surprise that she's excited by. It's just inhumane the way.
Yeah, I think what bothers me,
like shaving her legs were exciting her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like it was
I can tell you've done this before, you creep. Like, I mean, you're good at this. I can tell you've done this before.
She's already being abused with the ceremonies, and then he takes her out again and raping her again. It's just
and this is almost worse. I mean, mentally when they're doing the ceremonies. I mean, they were at the Red Center and they were telling these girls exactly how it's going to be.
Right.
So they're preparing. It's not like it was just an assault, like in the back alley, which is traumatic. I mean, everything is traumatic, but they were like preparing for it. And this is outside of the norm. So how scary for her.
Yeah.
She has to pretend to like it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that is a whole new level of abuse to make them pretend like they are enjoying their rapes, and that is what is required of her right now. That's what he's requiring her. And that's why, absolutely. And that's why it's tied in with, we'll get to it, but the memories of the former Offred killing herself, because it's when it's already so horrible, but when you add on layers of having to act like you like something like that, it's just so much. I don't know.
He's prepping her to rape her basically, and he's justifying it like it's a cute date, like it's a surprise. I'm being charming, which he's not being charming. He's creepy as fuck, but he's prepping her and grooming her to go take a drink, have a drink, and then rape her. Because no matter what he justifies it by his laws, it's still a rape.
Well, and how narcissistic of him to think that she's gonna love this. Like in his mind, he's like, I'm showing her a good time. She must think I'm awesome. He's like so delusional. It's like, no, dude. She doesn't want to go there with you.
That's bad. Totally delusional.
When she said like handmaids aren't allowed razors. So like it's just more acknowledgement that everybody that wrote these rules, that runs this place, they know that the handmaids' lives are suicidally awful.
And also, I thought that was extra disgusting. So she says she gets a razor once a month from Rita to shave her legs. I assume it's before the ceremony. So they make her shave her legs so she can go get raped.
Yeah.
Isn't that disgusting?
Yeah, she needs to groom herself to get raped.
She has to groom herself for him, I assume for his pleasure, which I just, that thought just turned my stomach.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
So the outfit was where I had a small, maybe epiphany. I don't know. It might be nothing, but I was thinking like, okay, so where he obviously got that whole outfit like on a black market situation, right? Like, I don't know, through Jezebels or something. Who would he have maybe sent to go pick that up?
Yeah. I mean, driver.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Bad.
That depressed me.
Poor Nick. Oh my God. And he was getting it, knowing exactly what Fred was going to do.
Right. I guess if he saw it, he might just pick a box, but yeah.
I was surprised when he even left the room to let her get dressed because he's been so creepy in this episode.
True.
Not that it makes anything better. But yeah, no, that is a sad thought. And the makeup too, probably. Nick had to make up and the shoes.
I'm sure.
And,
he would be sent to do all of that.
He's so sad in the rest of this episode. I can't like deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she comes out and he says, "You look stunning." And she does, by the way. She looks beautiful, but it's a fucked up situation. So and he takes her hair down and smells her. Yeah, exactly. So much vomit, and says, "Tonight I'm taking you out." And she looks terrified. Like she knows how dangerous it is. She doesn't know what she's walking into to begin with. And whatever it is, it's not worth the danger that she's about to assume. And she walks downstairs and walks out. And Nick sees her and she smiles because she knows she looks pretty, I think. Like not a big smile, but I think that she does at least like Nick seeing her looking out of her Gilead dress. And they maintain eye contact. And one of my favorite moments in the show is him putting that jacket on her and squeezing her arms, like
her closing her eyes
so affectionately. I love that.
I hate that.
That's fair.
No, I don't like that moment at all. This is so painful for him. It looks like
it is.
Both of them.
Yeah,
so painful.
That whole scene, like I feel like him seeing her like that, he can't even think about, oh, she's pretty. It's just like she's literally being dressed up to be raped.
Right.
Like, and he's like watching this unfold. The way he looks at her and everything is very depressed. Yeah.
And that's actually a thread throughout the script, through the whole episode, is he's not jealous. That's not what it is. He's helpless, he's self-loathing, and he hates Fred. And the script was very clear through the whole episode. He is just concerned about June.
Right.
Yeah. He's worried about her. He hates Fred. He hates what is happening. But it's not jealousy. That's not
right.
What it is. So
yeah, I didn't get that at all. So the actors played that perfect because I never got that he was jealous. I just got that he was just so sad about what was going to happen, and he was so helpless.
Right.
Yeah. He can't do anything to help her, and he's bringing her to go get raped. You know, at a hotel. I mean, and how terrible that he has to.
It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then compounded by the previous Offred and him knowing what happened to her. And obviously we haven't gotten there yet, but just all of that is going through his mind at this point when he's seeing June being taken through the same steps.
This is such a sad episode, Wanda. You're right.
Yeah.
The end of that scene though, when Fred and June walk away and he's like staring after them, it's just like murderous stare.
Yes. I love all the shots of them when he's driving them in the car. All those shots of his eyes in the rearview mirror are amazing. You can see how pissed he is, how hurt he is. Just Max is so
like
good.
Scared for June.
Yeah, just like acting with like the 3 inches in the rearview mirror. It's just amazing. Like you can see all of that in his eyes. They're so expressive.
And then Fred's holding her hand in the car and she's like staring down at the hands in discomfort. And like you said, Nick keeps making eye contact with her. They get to the checkpoint. Dogs are barking like always. And he says, "Tonight you aren't you." Fred says that to June. And that's for sure. And he says, "Past the gateway, wives aren't even allowed. Women aren't allowed." And she's speaking to herself, "We must be crossing the Charles into Boston. I've never been out this far, not since the Red Center." And then Nick's making eye contact with June when he flashes back into driving Price, Guthrie, and Waterford when they're coming up with the Handmaid system.
Yeah.
And saying all fertile women should be collected and impregnated by those of superior status.
Of course.
Asshole. Yeah. And Price objects to concubines weekly because then Waterford says his wife won't support it. And then Price says the wives should be there for the act to make it there's scriptural precedent for it. Waterford decides to call it ceremony. So Price's objections were too weak to be counted here. He was on board immediately. The wives will eat that shit up, Guthrie says. I hate Guthrie. He's disgusting.
Yeah,
they're all disgusting.
They're all the worst. Yeah.
And let's just take this here. The Handmaid idea, rounding up all for a woman, comes from Guthrie. That is going to come up later. We need to state that right now for the record.
Okay. That is a fact.
Yeah, true.
Well, like always, they're using religious justification to justify whatever they want to do.
Yeah, cherry pick it. Go ahead.
I did kind of wonder, like, if any, I mean, this is probably not true at all because Price is like he's pretty terrible. Just the fact that he seems to continue having that, like, we're going to clean things up. We're going to clean up Gilead, like even later when Nick is talking to him about the eyes. So I kind of wondered if maybe there was like a part of him that was playing along in the car, like just a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. I think he got to himself to the point where he's even in a comply or die situation.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think he had very different ideas.
Yeah.
But the people who were more obviously wicked and very willful, they took over those people who had those. I mean, evil took over here. And honestly, he had to conform. I mean, he had to try to survive too. I mean, he's not a good guy, but he didn't want it at least to be like this, I don't think.
I think he was making a move.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, go
making
ahead.
a move to consolidate power. I mean, it was the three of them. We see later on what happens with Guthrie. And then we see what happens with Nick in Waterford, what Nick's assignment is. So in my mind, it looks like this guy's a little paranoid and he's trying to consolidate power, get Guthrie out of the way and watch Waterford.
Trying to flush them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to start the first of the commander purges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Price seems like the most likable of them, and I guess I often also hoped that like maybe he's not all bad. I don't think we ever get an answer to that, but I like your theory.
I mean, I think just the whole concept of him like being over the eyes and trying to like spy on the commanders, like that shows something with him that he's trying to root out the worst of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Some kind of integrity, some like a little smidge
like a
of it.
little bit.
Yeah, a smidge of it. Yeah.
Price does say that he wants the girls to be treated respectfully as that could be. Like it's impossible, but he had this idea of where they didn't want to be treated the way they're being treated. So I mean, it doesn't justify anything, but at least like Tina says, there's some sort of integrity of some kind, if that can be called that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lesser of two evil type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of look at who Nick aligns himself with too. That should
Yeah.
give you a clue.
And then Guthrie and Price get out, and Waterford talks to Nick for the first time and is introduced to Nick for the first time and asks his opinion. And Nick just says, "I think you're right, sir. It's been better not to form attachments." And then he flashes forward to Jezebels, where you can see that that's true because he's very much formed an attachment to someone, and it's breaking his heart.
I don't know if there was like a cut line, maybe you can correct me, where they clarify that what he meant when he said that line was it's better not to form attachments because he was thinking about his brother.
Yeah,
that's what I heard too.
That was in the script. Yeah. So it wasn't a line he was going to speak, but it was in the, written in the notes that what he specifically was referring to is that he had to leave his brother. So I guess we don't know. I know we know Nick is from Michigan. I don't know where that's taking place, but I assume they pulled Nick out of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was thinking about his brother when he said that line and how he had to leave him.
Yeah, people always assume that the not forming attachments is just a reference to him not forming attachments to June, which is ridiculous.
Crazy.
Right. Clearly, Nick is a very loyal person, and whatever happened, with his brother is heartbreaking.
Really quick aside about them in the car. Like I found it really interesting how Fred, when June like ducks down into his lap when they go past the checkpoint, and it's like, well, you're not really hiding. It's so easy for them to see her there. So like clearly Fred has this established thing with the guards, because otherwise he would be more concerned about what he's doing. So then you have to ask, is he putting June through this shit to further like, I don't know, to like have some kind of power move in the scene? Because I almost feel like she wouldn't have had to hide because she's not really hidden.
You either have to really hide or not hide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was totally a game. It was a game.
Exactly. Exactly.
It was a game. Like, oh, look at how risky this is.
Right. He wants her to feel like he's doing something
like,
exciting.
Oh my, I'm going to show you something so cool. Like, I mean, he's just ew.
Exactly.
I think you're right.
She can feel like he's protecting her. Get down, I'll take care of you. Yes. When he's not really.
He was also bragging about what they were doing in Gilead when he was showing her around. He was bragging about something. So I guess he was just trying to like make himself look bigger or, stronger or whatever he needs to feel better about himself.
Trying to impress her.
Big, strong man.
Thank you.
He sucks. Yep. So they get to Jezebel's and they're walking in, and the elevator scene. Nick just looks so fucking sad this entire time, and getting off the elevator, and he puts her earring on and says, "Doesn't she look beautiful?" And he sadly says, "Yes, sir."
Oh, breaks my heart.
I know. And they start walking in, and the music playing is White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah, I love that.
I do
love
too.
that song.
I love
It's
the song.
Perfect song for that moment. It must have been exactly how she felt, like Alice going into Wonderland, this like unreal place.
Yeah. And then when she sees Moira, also Moira is dressed as a white rabbit and she follows her into the bathroom. Very Alice in Wonderland.
Luke and June used to go to that hotel.
Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned that on the I know. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was in the script, Wanda. Yeah.
Was it?
Yes, there was a note in the script.
That's the hotel that's the hotel where they had their affair?
Yeah. Yeah. That was their rendezvous.
Oh, that's crazy.
That interesting. Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. Did you guys expect when the first time you saw it for Jezebels to be what it was? Like when you actually realized did you guys think it was going to be like a whorehouse, which is what it is?
Yeah. I just don't remember.
I think so, but I don't remember for sure. It's been so long.
It's been too long for me.
I guess maybe I'm naive, but I was shocked. I mean, I shouldn't have been shocked because we know that, that's usually how they bend the rules, but I was shocked. I was really shocked. I just remember that.
But you were shocked by what was going on there or what?
Exactly. I was shocked because I first time, I mean, I think it's a naive reason now that I've seen the show and like I know what they stand for and I've seen this before, that I wasn't maybe expecting to see it in Gilead, and it was just like, are you what? These motherfuckers, these hypocritical motherfuckers, like
they're all hypocrites once they get
you can hear the hypocrisy with Fred when he says, what exactly does he say? Well, we know you're not perfect after all. People are not perfect after all, or something like that. I forget exactly what the saying was, but that's hypocritical, where they took away June's baby because she was an adulteress. And
they're all adulteresses. They're all adulterers.
Yeah. But we understand that no one's perfect. They're meaning just them, not the women.
That's why I think my reaction was
they're men. They get a pass.
I was stunned but not surprised, I guess is probably how I felt about it. Like, oh wow, this is all going on, but then like 2 seconds later it didn't surprise me one bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, she asks him, she says, I thought these kind of places were forbidden. And he says, officially or unofficially, we turn a blind eye. Everyone's human after all, is what he says.
That's exactly the one right there.
Do you guys know who Jezebel was in history?
No.
In the Bible?
And she was a 9th century Phoenician princess that married the prince of Israel, and Israel was divided. And obviously the people of Israel believed in Yahweh, and she was pagan. Where she came from, they still believed in many gods, especially Baal, which is the god of nature. And obviously when they got married, it was just a big clusterfuck. And eventually they kill her. They threw her off the balcony from her room. She died trampled by horses and eaten by dogs. But before she was thrown off the window, she put on her makeup and her dress. And obviously throughout history, they've used her to identify fallen women, or just women that speak their mind, or witches, or prostitutes, whores, or just women that don't conform to the traditional role that we should all have in society.
That's really interesting. Put on her makeup and her dress first.
Yeah. Circling back really quick to when Fred and Nick are standing there with June, and Fred hands him the coat, and Nick's like staring at her, and so he the coat just kind of falls into his arm for a second. I just thought again about another example for the files of Fred being totally oblivious.
Yes. You gotta make that video compilation.
Yeah.
It'll be long.
All of the moments not very that he should have seen what was going on and didn't.
Yeah. So one thing that Fred tells her that I noticed, because I had the subtitles on when they're walking through Jezebels, he tells her, don't gawk.
Yeah.
As he's walking her into a whorehouse in the middle of Gilead. Like what did you expect her to do?
And why shouldn't she go?
Yeah, exactly. So I just what? Anyway, that just struck me as
I didn't have the subtitles on, so I didn't see that. That's wow, Fred.
He tells that the women that are there, the women that couldn't assimilate, because she asked who are all these people, and he, oblivious as he is, says, oh, they're important people, like social dignitaries, She's like, I meant the woman. Yeah. And he's like, woman who couldn't assimilate. Like the one over there, she's a sociology professor, lawyers, CEO, and journalists. So again, it's women that don't, you know.
The next thing he says, Scarlett, we've got quite the collection.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I was getting there. Gross. And he says that they prefer it there.
They prefer it to the colonies.
Yeah, because it's either you go to the colonies to die or you go to get raped and be a sex worker after, you know, you get a college education and you have a profession and you're enlightened or whatever you want to call it. That's what they think you should go be a collection for these men to have fun. Because he even says that you can actually have a good conversation if that's what you're looking for. A fucking piece of shit.
It's so upsetting.
Fucking hate Fred. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like that's not what we're interested in.
It's so upsetting to watch all of that. Yeah. So she sees Moira and she follows Moira to the bathroom and they're both like, you know, sobbing. And Moira's like, I'm so sorry I left you at the train. And June's like, it's okay. It's okay. And
such a good scene.
It's such a good scene.
That is.
I love when they are reunited. And Janine says, Janine told me you're dead. And Moira says, you believe that crazy bitch? Even people that didn't know Janine very long, they know her.
I love their friendship so much.
I do too. I do too. And then some dumb woman tells Moira to get back out there. She just came to the bathroom.
Some dumb woman. That's the aunt.
I mean, it was very annoying. And then they switch to Nick and Beth in the kitchen. And they're going through their trades and brandy, scotch, vodka. You got hair dye. That's what Beth is giving her. And they're so friendly to each other. And I love their friendship.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. He doesn't talk that way to other people. And it's just nice. And then he trades her a lot of medicine and ketamine, which she says the men have sleeping beauty fantasies. And that sucks. So she at least balances out with, well, the women use it too to drug the men and go through their phone. So that's the only nice thing.
She gets pregnancy tests
he says,
too.
thank you for your service for doing that, because they're snooping on the commanders when they're on the phone.
Yes.
They're obviously giving Nick the intel.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the eyes. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gives her herbs, just like, you know,
I love that. He brought her like a special gift that he wished she would like. Like, it was just very sweet of him to do that. Yeah.
I love that too.
And also just kind of shows him being okay with like taking little risks like that, you know?
And then Beth says, you know, stick around for some food. And she just casually drops that she had a James Beard nomination. So clearly she's an amazing chef. And he refuses. And then she makes a different offer.
She grabs him suggestively. And he really like says no. He rejects her advances. And I like that scene a lot because if they that scene is just a little tiny scene that I know that a lot of people like didn't even pay attention to. But it's really important because they wouldn't have used, you know, that scene if it didn't mean anything. And it just shows his character. He stopped sleeping with Beth as soon as he started sleeping with June. He didn't have to do that. He's a man in Gilead.
Yep.
He had a friend with benefits, you know, like normal person. And he decided to stop it once he started sleeping with June.
That's the thing that sealed the deal with me regarding Nick. I trusted him implicitly after that.
And it shows that he like clearly has pretty significant feelings for June at this point too, because like if he just wanted sex, he could have much safer sex with Beth. Like, he's sleeping with a handmaid, like, and he's gonna like stop his safe sex to sleep with the handmaid.
Right.
Like that doesn't seem smart at all. Like,
he wouldn't get killed with Beth, but he could be on the wall messing around with June.
Right, of course.
Yeah,
it's
really
definitely like way
feelings.
more than physical at this point. Yeah.
And June is having sex upstairs, like as this happens, and it is not by her choice at all. I'm just saying that a lot of lesser men would be jealous or angry, or
they'd
whatever,
be like,
acting out, and So I think, agreed, Wanda. This is a level up for Nick.
Yeah,
a big one for me.
Yeah. But it's also important that the show shows us that, like the breadcrumbs are there if people pay attention about where his loyalties are and how his character is.
Right.
Well, yeah, even in the scene we were talking about earlier in the diner, a lot of people, you know, they're like, he joined Sons of Jacob. He's a terrible person. He's an awful person. But they showed you the scene to show you how terrible how it happened. They didn't show you the scene for no reason. They showed it so you could tell that he was trying to take care of his family, his alcoholic brother. His mom's gone. He cannot get a job. Somebody has offered him a job. He can keep his family alive with this job. He took this job. Like, they showed you this scene for a reason, and yet people completely ignore this entire episode. And that's
right.
Somebody argued with me that he was a bum because he couldn't keep a job, and I kept going back and forth telling this person he kept missing work because he was taking care of a family member. And this person told me, well, it was his responsibility because he didn't have to take care of his brother. It was his brother's choice to be an alcoholic. And I ended the conversation saying, you obviously have never taken care of someone that you love.
Exactly.
Never.
Yeah. That happens all the time where people take off and say, screw this job. I can get another job, but I can't get another brother, or I can't get another sister. So they take off and they go find their brother and sister. That happens all the time.
I don't know why the show didn't really add much to his brother and his alcoholism, because that's something that people, could maybe see or try to understand, but it's not, you just don't let people that you love die of an overdose. Like, it takes a toll on you. That also speaks to his character, why he's so protective of the people that he cares about.
Right.
So then we go back up to June, and she's coming out of the bathroom, and she's approached by another commander, Davidson. And Waterford very happily approaches and corrects him and says, she's with me. An evening rental, he called her. He's an asshole, but we've talked about that. And Davidson says, outstanding work with the Mexican delegation. They walk, and then they head to the elevator, and Nick leans out the kitchen door, watching them, smoking a cigarette and looking worried. And he flashes back to finding the previous Offred hanging, like hearing Rita's screams and running up and cutting her down. And, she's dead. It's too late. And he's watching her be taken out of the house. And Serena looks annoyed and pissed off, of course. And she says to Fred, what did you think was going to happen? Which implies that he did the exact same pattern of behavior with this woman. He took it another step. He took her to Jezebels. He made her act like she liked it. And that was too much,
And Serena
knows about it.
Yeah. She found out, and the young lady killed herself.
Right. And Nick,
I wonder if she, what she did when she found out,
Yeah.
Maybe it was Serena who drove her to the edge.
Right.
Yeah,
she wasn't pregnant.
Obviously Fred too, but they both probably had a hand in her.
Right. Because yes, she wasn't pregnant. So who knows what she would have done.
I was thinking about that episode when she goes plays Scrabble with Fred, and we find out that, June finds out that the other Offred had killed herself. June has a voiceover that says, how did you survive her? So it gives you the impression that it wasn't just Fred. Serena had a lot to do with the mental, the punishment that she did, and the way that she treated the handmaids, was treating them like shit. And in that episode also, we see that because of what she wrote, the Latin thing that I can never pronounce. When she asks Fred what it means, like, the scene gives you the impression that he knew, like he had talked to the other handmaid as well and treated her the same way that he was treating June. It's episode 3, I think, or 4, I don't remember, or 2. 4. Sorry. Thank you.
And then and you see that Nick has tears in his eyes here too, watching them take her out, whereas the Waterfords are just bickering and don't give a shit about her.
He can't even look as they're bringing her body past him. He like looks away.
His eyes.
And in the script, it said that the first Offred's death there was a huge turning point for Nick. And from that moment on, that really exposed Gilead for what it was for him. And it said that's when he really saw the rot at that point within Gilead that he didn't see, or turned a blind eye to. That really exposed it for him.
It seemed like he initially was going to just put his head down and try to survive until that happened.
Yes, that's what I think. That was, he really knew, oh no, this is terrible. I think maybe that's when he maybe stopped believing some of the propaganda that they were feeding him. Like, oh no, it's not, they don't have a choice. They don't like this. This is terrible. That was a definite turning point for him, finding her. I can't imagine how traumatic that must have been for both him and Rita. To discover that. Just horrible.
And yet not the Waterfords. But
you see, Rita was still traumatized by that, because when she found June laying down in the closet, she freaked out.
They were both really traumatized by that.
I think he stopped believing a while before. I think, didn't you say in a past episode that in an interview, Bruce Miller said that he stopped, as soon as there was a violent takeover. But I think that even if he stopped believing then, like he was already stuck. Like there was,
Yeah.
like, they weren't going to let him leave. So
Right.
I think that after that, he just simply, I'm here. I'm just going to survive. He didn't go out of his way to make anyone's life miserable. And he was just doing the little bits and pieces that he could do without risking, because he had really nothing. He had no attachments to anybody.
Right.
So he just went on and maybe turned a blind eye because of that.
I think that's how the majority of people in Gilead are. I mean, they conform. They have to comply or die. So they all just kind of fly under the radar, do what they're told, because it's a game of survival. So, I mean, they have to do horrible things in order to survive. Everybody, even the handmaids, have to do horrible things in order to survive. It's either that or you die.
Right.
So it's not like they're all terrible. There are good men in Gilead. There are good women in Gilead. It's just the upper echelon there that kind of has the problem.
Right.
Yeah. And then obviously when seeing the offered one, I don't like to call her off dead. That's weird to me. They do that in the book, but I don't like it. It's like, I don't like that. Offered one. Let's call her offered one.
Yeah.
When that whole experience pushing him to take some kind of action, like a safe kind of action, because it's with the eyes, but like his reasoning for doing that obviously is not to help Gilead. It's to, spy on
very obvious
Fred and make sure that,
that's the only way he could strike back at the commander when he got became the eye.
Take down the worst ones.
Right.
Garbage out.
And he does that immediately. He immediately gets rid of the person that created the handmaid system.
The whole thing with him joining the eyes was such a smart move. I think about this all the time. Like it was such a good way for him to like have both, be able to like have safety and also like mess shit up for them. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just the perfect way to.
Right.
And it gives him purpose in his bleak world. He is, I mean, he's so miserable. So at least he can be like, okay, I have a purpose. I'm going to get rid of these wicked men. And hopefully we can maybe one day have a normal society. I mean, it's not going to happen, but it's, one day that would be his hope. Like, get rid of these people.
Having a real purpose is very important, right?
Yeah.
Getting up every day.
Since we're already on that scene, in that scene, Price says to Nick, we're going to clean up Gilead's son, which circles right back to the beginning. We're going to clean up this country. So it's just keeping that cycle going. Which I thought was interesting. That really caught my eye when I rewatched it. I was like, that's exactly like the beginning. So we're just right back in the cycle. He's getting Nick back into another group,
I have a doubt. Like, was Nick always as a guardian? Was he an eye? And then after the first offer died, did he become a plainclothes operative of the eyes? Like, I've gone back and forth trying to analyze that, and I'm not 100% sure. And I want to see what you guys think.
I don't think so, because I would think if you're all of a sudden like you're undercover. So if he was an eye before, like out there, guardian eye, were the people who know, because there's eyes that they know. He's like the undercover one, the one that people don't know.
You listen to what Price says, that the uniform, they have a uniform group. I forget what he says, but and then you have the plainclothes operative. So the ones out front are the ones that we see with the covers over their face. They're in uniform and they have the covers over their face. They're still sort of incognito, I guess, but still
they're visible.
Yeah, they're visible.
I don't know if, I mean, we have no idea and we're just kind of speculating, but like, I don't think of them, the ones with the face things. I don't think of them as having like another job. You know what I'm saying? Like Nick is a driver and an eye. Like they're just eyes. That's what they do.
Yeah. Those are eyes. They're not guardians and eyes.
Right.
I think Nick became a guardian first. And then when the first offer died, that's what propelled him to go talk to Price and become an eye.
That's what I agree. I agree.
And because Price, like I said earlier, which I think he was trying to consolidate power, he put Nick on Waterford because Waterford was the next one in line who can take power away from Price. So I think he was a little paranoid too. And he could trust Nick.
Well, and that actually leads back into Waterford's being paranoid in the next scene. It just It flashes quickly from Nick's flashback to offered one to him. Does he hit or kick the door? I don't know. It sounds like he does something to the kitchen door
just like
before he
storms out of
disappears
it, I
into
think.
it. Yeah, there's just like a loud noise.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he kicked it or what. And then it goes up to the room and Waterford's being paranoid and saying there's always a target on your back. She says, yeah, that happens if you're the boss. But just like, you're saying, Wanda, I think that is the case when you create a world like this, that everybody's paranoid about everybody.
Yeah.
And everyone's miserable, even as they're abusing people. And so she says, what, she thinks, I don't know, does she say, or does she think, why did you bring me here?
No, she says it. Why did you bring me here?
Okay.
And he thought, what did he say? He thought that she would enjoy it.
My next
something like
what he says.
My next note is he starts molesting her and a single tear drops down her face.
Saddest tear. Saddest tear ever.
Breaks my heart.
I know. And there's sirens in the background as usual. And it's just, it's a whole nother level of humiliation, a new level of abuse, making her pretend she's enjoying it. And she knows she has no choice. So once, luckily they flash away from that pretty quickly. And then she sneaks out to see Moira. And on her way down the hotel hall, she hears a man beating a woman, men watching one woman be raped. And when she gets to the elevator, there's a man licking a woman's stump where her hand was cut off.
Did you see this is weird, but there was a guy having sex with, it's all weird, with,
no, I know what you're going to say. They were like role playing a ceremony. I saw it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was that what they were doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
They had
there
the
was
wife
a
and the
handmaid
handmaid.
uniform.
They had a wife and a handmaid. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were role playing that. Yeah. Ugh.
So she finds Moira, and you kind of learn quickly, and she says focus on Moira, like wants to know what happened, but you learn quickly that Moira's been a little bit broken by everything that's happened.
Yeah, she's broken.
She does reveal that there's a female underground that are helping handmaids get out, but that she got caught and she had a choice between the colonies and Jezebels, and that Jezebels has all the drinks and drugs you could want. But yeah, so she says forget about it, and Moira says, forget about escaping. And June is trying to talk Moira into being, Moira again, and tells her that Luke got out. But Moira's still like, thank God, but he isn't us. We're alone here. Just take care of yourself. And it's just sad because Moira was the one that was pushing her to escape last time we saw her,
Yeah.
They trade off, and she tells her she needs to go, but at least she pulls her into a hug and says, I love you. Okay. Like June says that to Moira to try and connect again with her,
Yeah. I think too, I guess I thought about this more in the first scene when they meet in the bathroom, because this scene is a little more depressing, the fact that Moira is already beaten down and stuff. But I think it's interesting how Fred took her there to mistreat her and abuse her, and then she ends up getting hope and from just knowing Moira's alive. Like, it's such a coincidence that would be the way that she would find that out. And it's kind of like he's unknowingly leading her to a way for her to have some hope and feel like things could get better, because she now has her best friend back,
Yeah, I think that's great. They always, she always, I think we discussed in an earlier episode, she always draws strength from the other women, and here as much as ever. So leaving Jezebels, Nick flashes back to watching Guthrie's get arrested, and we saw that was the founder of the Handmaid system. So that's when we were talking about when Nick joins the Eyes to get back at the commanders. They arrested him specifically for sleeping with his past 2 handmaids and skimming from the treasury. And then Nick agrees to report on Waterford because no one's above the law, Commander. And like you said, we're going to clean up Gilead's son. So then we're back at the house, and Serena comes home. Fred's being unusually nice to Serena. And then we enter the fake breakup. I think Tina calls it. What does she call it? The non-breakup?
The non-breakup.
The non-breakup.
Yeah.
I have to point out, Claudia and I were watching this episode together, and she was like, we rewound at least 2 or 3 times to watch Nick staring at Fred in the foyer.
Oh, I should do that. I'm gonna do that.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good look. It's very similar to the look when when they're walking away to go to Jezebel. It's the same kind of energy.
Nice.
It's good. Yeah.
So then Nick walks back to the kitchen, and June says, is she home? And he says, yep, in the unfriendliest tone that you've ever heard from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is
just kind of passive aggressive.
Yeah. Well, he's just really stressed.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's okay. Yeah. And then he walks back through, and she's like, Nick, Nick, I'll see you later, Nick. She's acting so nice and like cute. And he's obviously acting wrong. And he turns around and says, we can't do this anymore. And she says, Nick.
You know what I like there? He thought he was going to say that and leave. Like he said, we can't do this anymore. And then he was like going to leave.
That was the only part that he was able to get through though. Like that was all he planned, was like, I'll just say this and then I'll
can't do this anymore. Bye. And I was like, dude, what? Like, no.
Not how it's
I
gonna
mean,
work.
I feel like he was struggling so hard with the entire concept of doing this that like that was all he had the like energy to be able to do.
Yeah. She's like, no, we're gonna stay and we're gonna talk about this. Rightfully so. Like,
and she's so I had to go with them last night, right? I don't have a choice. I don't have any choices.
He nods, which it's very hard to see, but there's that far away shot.
I didn't see that. Okay.
He nods, which I think is important to go back to he was not jealous.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He knew that. So
I think he was so distracted there too. Like he's just like, yeah, of course not. Like, that's not what this is about.
Do you think he was?
And I think part of it is he's forming attachment.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do you think
he knows he is attached?
Yeah,
he knows how dangerous that is.
Right.
That's why you see. That's why they bring it up in the cart. He knows. He wasn't saying don't get attached. He just knows that if you do get attached, it could mean your life. You're not. If you form attachments, it's easier to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how they break you with the attachment.
That's how they break you.
Yeah.
It is better to not have attachments in a society like that.
Yeah.
And so he was, I think, trying to tell himself, like, I need to end this before I get attached, but he's
way too late.
Yeah.
It's way too late.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah. It's not gonna. You're already way attached. And then I think he realizes it in that conversation. You can kind of see it's like, I'm already gone.
He does.
Like, I'm attached. And then she's basically like, whatever. Like, I'm mad.
You're gonna get punished. Yes.
How dare you bring this up?
Yeah, he was so but when he was broken by that. Like he was so emotional when you couldn't barely see it, but he really was when she said to him,
"Is this it? This bullshit life? Is this what you want?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's willing to die for love.
And that's what she says, or he says, you could end up on the wall. And she says, well, at least somebody would miss me. At least somebody will care when I'm gone. And that is literally her saying, this relationship is worth me dying. It's not worth that for you. And of course it is. And he's like, June. And
literally those two lines is like the saddest thing, like the saddest dialogue in anything ever. Every time I watch that, like as soon as she says it, I'm just like, done, I'm gone. It's so freaking sad.
And you know what I like? I like that he says you could end up on the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Not
worried about him.
Not us. He's not worried about him. It's her he's worried about. I don't want anything to happen to you.
So right there, she's saying, this is worth it to me to end up on the wall, your love.
I think that's exactly why too, when like as soon as he realizes that that's the case for her, like he's like, oh shit, okay, well, it's actually better.
I'm hurting her.
Exactly. So I think it like the only reason why he was doing it was because he wanted to protect her, right? So like as soon as he realizes that she's happier and better off with even if the risk of her life, like then he realizes he made a mistake.
He doesn't expect her. He doesn't expect to be loved. He feels so guilty for the things that he's done. He doesn't expect for her to love him. So when she says that to him, he's like, "Oh shit." Oh, okay, shit.
Lizzie's acting. Both of their acting in the scene is amazing.
So good.
The way Lizzie says though, like that's something. Like at least it's something, and she's crying. Her tears. Like how does she do that? I do not know, but it's incredible.
Yep.
And then he stupidly decides to tell her something deep about himself.
Well, you do know in the script he was supposed to give her more information.
I think that's where we learn about her brother, right?
He was supposed to say, I'm Nick from Michigan. Summer is my favorite season. I let my brother drink himself to death.
Yeah, that's a lot more.
And then June was supposed to say, I'm sorry about your brother and leave.
Wait, she's supposed to say what?
I'm sorry about your brother. And then
walk out.
She was going to walk out.
So somebody was going to be an asshole in that scene.
Yeah.
And they chose.
They let Nick be the asshole.
Yes. Why would she walk out then?
Yeah.
That is weird. Do you think they could bring Josh back because they didn't say that?
I think, was it Bruce or somebody somewhere said if they don't say something, if they're going to show it later. So my hope is they cut the line because they want to show it later.
I mean,
So can we have?
He's out there somewhere.
Yes,
He's
yeah.
out there.
Or maybe he's still alive, but I mean, can we have some Nick flashbacks? Can we
Just some
know
more information, please,
Just a
sir?
little bit
Yes.
more? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I saw Max say once in an interview that like he kind of really liked that line because it was just like perfect stupid male.
Yeah,
Yes,
he
and
laughs
it
at it all the
was.
time. He
Yeah,
thinks
I
it's
think-
funny.
Thinking
the way
that
it was-
he's giving something to her, but
Yeah.
Right.
nothing.
I'm Nick Blaine. I'm from Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, under his eye, Guardian Blaine.
Yeah.
The summer line was cute. Like summer's my favorite season. Her name's
Yeah.
June.
No, June.
That's
I
cute.
know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I feel like, in my opinion, at the end of the scene, is Nick would like to retract the breakup, but
Yes.
June.
Yeah.
June-
Immediate, yeah.
And then I don't know. Serena gives her a music box on the stairs. I don't know the motivation of Serena here, but it annoys me. Is she just trying to be nice? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I feel so bad for June. So like in that moment, Nick is broken up with her, and then she has to deal with Serena giving her that.
I know.
I know, right?
It, like,
Within seconds.
yeah.
Yeah, as she's walking up the stairs. And she says, you know, well, this music box is a perfect gift, right? A girl stuck in a box, only allowed to come out and dance when someone else opens the lid and winds her up. That sums it up pretty well, right? She's allowed to go out to get dressed up and go to a fun place when Fred decides that he's going to make her do that.
Then
I wonder if
says
you
at
noticed
the
that
end-
that music box had a mirror in there, you know, like, didn't it have a mirror?
It did.
Yeah.
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 Or maybe it was, that's good.
It'd be nice to see herself, but also she could
It
use
is-
it, to
it
hurt
would be.
herself, too.
That's a good
Right.
point. That's a very good point. And then she's carving "You're Not Alone" into the closet, which is what Price said to Nick earlier. And I only just realized that.
Oh yeah.
And she says, if this is a story I'm telling, I must be telling it to someone. There's always someone, even when there's no one. I will not be that girl in the box.
Which is kind of from the book a little. Like I remember that, and she's like laying in bed thinking about the story, telling the story to someone, even if it's in her head. I think that's pretty close to the dialogue from the book, or her narrative from the book narration.
Okay, I think that's a wrap on our spoiler-free analysis of season 1, episode 8. If you are a longtime fan of the show, please come join us on Wednesday when we release our deep dive into this same episode. See you next Monday.
You know, I think about us, the three of us, what we could be. I think about it all the time.
Please. It's terrible.
No, it's not. I know June. She's my friend. I care about her. How's your day going? You look pretty.
Thanks. I wore it just for you. Her father's a driver named Nick. He helped me to survive. Yes, you can, because I can't lose you.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
What about you?
Your girlfriend is a badass.